everyone, I'm here with the first timers tag, or my first time tag. I was tagged by the beautiful Tracy and Stephanie of 11th Gorgeous. Thank you girls so much for tagging me. I've watched quite a few, but I haven't memorized the questions. I honestly don't even haven't read through them, so I'm just gonna kind of go through them with you now. So I have my iPad here. I actually have Tracy and Stephanie's video pulled up right now so I can see the questions. So the first one is, okay, this is my first time tag. I think we've all clarified that. It has nothing to do with your first time, okay? Just firsts of things. So the first is, do you still talk to your first love? Now, my first love, oh my word. Okay, if anybody is watching this from where I used to live, this is gonna be interesting. So, I don't know. I'm torn between who my first love was. There was two boys, Dallin and Brett, and they were best friends. I dated both of them. I really thought I was in love with Brett, but then I started dating Dallin. I would say Dallin was probably my first love. And no, I don't still talk to him. I haven't talked to him in years. When I used to live in Utah, that was where my first love was. I was what, 13, 14 years old. And no, I don't talk to him. I don't think I've talked to him in, I don't know, 8 years. So no, I don't talk to my first love. I know some of my friends are still friends with him, but I haven't seen him, talk to him. So the answer to that question is no. But Dallin, if you're out there watching that, hey, how's it going? Okay, question number 2 is, what was your first job? So this is kind of gonna be a long-winded story. I basically skipped my junior year of high school. So my senior year, I actually was out at the college doing college connections. And because I was a senior and my schedule was more of a college type schedule, I only had classes really in the morning, I worked as a student receptionist for the local high school district here in Redding. And yeah, I mean, I just was a receptionist Monday through Friday till 5 and made minimum wage. It wasn't that exciting, but that's what was your first car? It was a 99 Dodge Neon. And at one point, my boyfriend at the time laid on the car because I was mad at him, so he was laying on the car to look in my window because I wouldn't look at him, and dented my car, the roof of my car. And I'm pretty sure that the rubber around the door was hanging out, and when I met Benji, he was too embarrassed to drive with me in my car because it was so ugly. Who is the first person to text you today? Well, let me see. Who was the first person to text me? The first person to text me was Danny. He is our contractor, and he texted me, "Are you home? I need to move your car." Because my car was in the driveway and they needed to get, the construction workers needed to put some sand in the thing so that they could stucco the house tomorrow. So very, very exhilarating. Exhilarating? Very exciting, I guess. I don't know. Next one is, who was the first person you thought of this morning? And the first person that I thought of this morning, I don't know. I would assume probably my husband or Ethan. When I woke up this morning, Benji was getting up to go to the bathroom, and I think I looked at the phone and thought, oh, it's 7:15 and Ethan is still sleeping. So there you have it. Who was your first grade teacher? First grade teacher. First grade teacher. I think my first grade teacher was Mrs. Turnquist when I lived in Alaska. I really liked her. She always had me reading a lot, and and she taught me how to knit too. I really liked Miss Turnquist. I think that was my first grade teacher. Where did you go on your first ride on an airplane? I lived in Alaska, so I either flew to Anchorage or flew to Nome, I'm assuming. I don't know. It's not very uncommon to go on airplanes quite frequently when you live in Alaska. Who was your first best friend, and do you still talk? Now that's a tough one because when I was really little, I don't remember who my best friends were. But as from as far back as I can remember, I have a couple. One was Heidi, and her mom, Barb, used to babysit her and I. And then it's funny, when I moved to Utah, they had moved to Utah because Heidi's dad and my dad worked together. And now Barb lives here in Redding, and so she watches Ethan sometimes, so it's cool because we used to live in Alaska, but now, and she used to babysit me, now she watches Ethan sometimes. Heidi, I would say, would be one. The other one would be Sonia, which she was my maid of honor in my wedding, and we became best friends in kindergarten. And I was little, I mean, I've always been short, but I was really short. And she could see my big bow. I had a big polka dot bow, and she thought, I love that bow. If I become best friends with her, she will let me borrow that bow. So we were best friends from kindergarten on, and we shared boyfriends and bows, and we were in each other's weddings. And then the other one would be Rachel. And Rachel and I were neighbors. She lived 2 houses down, and we were like inseparable. Our family took her with us to Florida, to Disney World. We played dolls together. We had the K&R post office, which stood for Cassie and Rachel Post Office, and we would write each other long, long letters and put them in the little mailboxes. And I loved Airheads, and so whenever her mom would go to Anchorage and go to Costco, they would buy big things of Airheads, and then she would give them to me, and she'd hide them around my room and tell me where they were at, because she knew that if I had access to all my Airheads, I would eat them all in one day. So I mean, that's a really good friend. She helped me ration out my Airheads. She would come over and help me clean up dog poop and do chores. She loved to clean. I mean, we were like the best of best friends. So those would probably be my first 3 best friends that I could remember thinking back. Where was your first sleepover? I have no clue. Probably Heidi's house. That's the only thing I can think of. That was my first sleepover, because we lived in an apartment and she lived right upstairs, so I'm sure I slept at her house quite often. Who was the first person you talked to today? Well, Benji, my husband, and then Ethan. So that was the first people I talked to. Whose wedding were you in the first time? I guess that means like whose wedding was the first wedding I was in. That'd be my mom's. My mom got remarried when I was about 5 or 6. And I didn't want to be a flower girl because I was too grown up at 5 or 6 to be a flower girl. So I was a bridesmaid. I was one of my mom's bridesmaids. And she got remarried to my dad, well, stepdad, but he adopted me, so he's my dad. Yeah, I was 5 or 6. That was the first wedding I think that I was ever in. Actually, I think I was a flower girl at my mom's friend's wedding. Yeah, but as far as I was a flower girl, but as far as a bridesmaid, it was my mom's wedding, which was pretty cool. What was the first thing you did this morning? I opened my eyes and I looked at my phone and checked my email, Instagram. That's kind of it. And then I got up and woke Ethan up and got him ready to go to school, and then I got ready. Not too exciting. What was the first concert you ever went to? I don't know. I can think back to, there was this guy that was popular in Alaska named Seamus O'Kennedy or something. Seamus something. And he like made funny songs. I don't know, like kind of like a Weird Al, but not as obnoxious. But actual like legit concert. I think I went to a Jody Messina concert when I lived in Utah with my friend Courtney. I guess, I don't know. That's first broken bone. I've never had a broken bone, so I've never had one. First piercing was my ears. I only have 2 piercings. I have this one and this one, but this one's actually closed up, so I really only have these bottom ones pierced. First foreign country you've gone to? Mexico. Went to Mexico quite a bit when I was younger, and I've been to Rome, Italy, Naples, Pompeii. Then we recently just did a Europe trip. I've been to Canada. So, but the first place I went, I'm assuming, was Mexico. First movie you remember seeing? I don't know. I know that I watched Little Mermaid a lot when I was little. And I used to remember my mom would cry watching her shows, so I forced myself to cry during Little Mermaid because I wanted to be like my mom and cry during movies. So I know Little Mermaid I watched at a very, very young age, but I'm sure there was other movies I watched before that. When was your first detention? I don't know if I ever really got detention. I mean, I never had detention in high school. I knew I got in trouble before for passing notes. That was my main thing, is passing notes to my boyfriends, or talking. I always was talking in school, so passing notes or talking. But I don't think I ever had like traditional detention, like you have to go in after school and sit there. I've never had that before. Who was your first roommate? Before I got married, I moved out of my parents' house and moved in with my sister-in-law, Megan. because her husband was in a band called The Myriad and they were on tour a lot. So I moved in with her for a while, and then I moved in with Jamie, who you guys know is my next door neighbor now. And those are the only roommates I've ever had. I then got married right after, and that was, I mean, I've only had roommates prior to being married for like 4 months, and then I was married. So those were my only first roommates. What was the first lesson you ever took? The first lessons? I'm sure, what, swim lessons probably? I think swim lessons is the only thing I can think of. And it was probably when I was really little, but I don't know. I took dance lessons, but that was more like junior high. What's the first beauty related on YouTube you ever watched? Okay, I was just talking to somebody about this. So I never knew about the whole, it was about 4 years ago that I found out about the whole YouTube thing. And I think I was searching, I had a bunch of MAC shadows and I was wanting to know how to wear the color Antiqued. And so I think I searched in Google like combinations with the MAC eyeshadow Antiqued, and Makeup by Tiffany D's videos came up. And I started watching those, and then I found Lollipop 26 because she did a tutorial with Tempting. That was another eyeshadow I was looking for. Makeup by Lana Baby was another of the first ones. So I'd say Makeup by Tiffany D, Lollipop 26, and Makeup by Lana Baby were my first 3 people that I really started watching. And that was about 4 years ago. And that is the first timer tag. I hope you guys found this somewhat interesting. I know the questions are kind of fun, but I didn't have anything too exciting as far as answers go. Thank you so much, Tracy and Stephanie, for tagging me. I will link some girls down below that I'm tagging to do this video. And I hope you guys are all doing well. I hope you're having a great week, and I'll talk to you later. Bye! Oh, and there is a tutorial for this eye look coming up, and there is a tutorial for my foundation contouring routine too. So stay tuned for that, and I'll talk to you later. Bye!